Hi, and welcome to Alaska Pacific University's Link and Learn series. This workshop will cover resumes and cover letters, how to write an effective resume, and a great cover letter to go with it. My name is Robin Brooks, Career Services Coordinator. This presentation will address resumes and cover letters in general. However, I'll try to give as many examples as I can that are focused on the APU nursing program application. But I want this presentation to be relevant for you as well when you're applying to jobs. Whether you're just starting to put a resume together, updating one, or completely revamping it, you'll want to gather your information. If you're actively applying for a job or a program, print out or have the job description or program description handy. Read through it carefully and use a highlighter to mark sections in which you have experience, skills, or knowledge so you can work on emphasizing those throughout your application. Pull together your quantitative pieces such as graduation dates, time frames for past jobs, or certificate expirations. Compile your qualitative pieces as well, such as your best skills, traits, and characteristics, especially if they came into play in previous jobs. All those things will help you compose a focused resume and a strong cover letter to match. When applying to a job, there's often someone whose role it is to vet the resumes, to weed out those who don't appear to be qualified, and to pass the qualified applications on to the hiring team or supervisor. Think about this as you're writing the resume. How can your resume stand out to that first reviewer and keep your application going? This is where tying your resume closely to the job description is key. For the APU nursing program, the audience is the faculty, so think about how your resume matches the goals and mission of APU and of the nursing degree we offer. A standard resume should be no more than 1 to 2 pages long. If you went straight from high school to college, 1 page is expected. Someone with a more extensive work history who has come back to college or is completing another degree can definitely continue into 2 pages and might have to select the most relevant experience to keep it to that length. Hiring managers spend an average of only 6 seconds looking at a resume, and if the first page doesn't capture their attention, they might not even get to the second page. Keep in mind that this is intended to be a summary showing you have the right combination of background, skills, and experience. When students ask me to review their resume, this is often where we start. While it's tempting to shrink the font as a quick way to get everything to fit on 1 or 2 pages, don't do it. Remember how hiring managers spend only 6 seconds on a resume? Help them maximize that time by making your resume clear and easy to read. This page shows things to think about related to text formatting. Keep some white space around the edges using normal margins or just slightly narrower if needed so it's not overcrowded. Each section caption should be in bold, maybe all caps, and each job title should be in bold. Consider starting with a template, but then do lots of editing to keep it from looking canned. The resumes that best capture attention feature simple layouts, clear sections, and heading titles, while those that don't do so well have cluttered layouts, multiple columns, long sentences, and very little white space. Some industries are more visually creative than others. If you're going into digital media or design or elementary education, it makes sense to be creative and colorful. Going into healthcare, keep it primarily black and white and structured. There are many templates out there that allow you to infuse some creativity while maintaining a traditional format, but in a nutshell, keep it simple. The general structure of a resume includes a header with your name and contact information, which can simply be a phone number and email address. If you have a relevant website or a professionally oriented social media account, such as a LinkedIn or Handshake profile, you can include that as well. This header should be used on all your application documents, including your cover letter and list of references, as it makes you look organized and detail-oriented. After the header, you may add a statement of purpose or a professional objective, which is a brief statement about what skills you have and the type of position you want. This is optional, but it's especially useful if you're starting into a new career path or applying for something where your experience might not be an obvious fit. In this case, you can state that you're a current student with a few of your top skills or a bit of your background, hoping to continue into APU's nursing program. Since you are a student applying to a college program, list your education at the top following the statement. When you go to apply for jobs later on, especially if you already have some healthcare experience, education could be listed at the bottom or in a side margin. Within this section, list your highest level of education or most recent education first. In this section, you could also include any certificates or licenses you earned from another college, trade school, or education center. The example shows how to write it: name of school and location, the kind of degree, the name of the degree, and when you finished or plan to finish. You can use bullet points below that to list things like your GPA, a certificate you might have earned along the way, or classes that are relevant. It's also okay if you don't really have any extra bullet point things to add. You'll want to talk with someone in your industry about the preferred format. How you lay it out depends on your career path and what you're looking to do next. Reverse chronological is the most common, in which you list your most recent job or experience first and work your way backward. This is the default and used across many industries, but as you're putting this together, be sure it's the best choice. An easy person to ask is your faculty advisor, or contact me and we can work together on finding a person who can offer that kind of review. When you list your experience, include context. In what town or city, state, or country did this job take place? Did you travel and work in multiple locations? What dates did you have that experience? 5 months, 5 years? Context is important. Even if all your experience was in one place, like Anchorage, you'll need to list Anchorage, Alaska next to everything, and the dates should be listed as month and year. As you can see from this example, there's a lot of quick context information in those first 2 lines. You see the name of the business, the location, the job title, the dates, and then a little bit of explanation about what was done in that job. Some recruiters will discount your resume the second they see a spelling or grammar error. Have a friend or advisor take a peek and give you feedback. Errors with verb tenses can hurt you when someone is looking over a lot of resumes. As a rule, if something on your resume is in the past, use the past tense: managed, delivered, organized. And if you're still actively in the role, use the present tense: manage, deliver, organize. Edit out words like I or my. Instead of saying, I helped about 40 patients daily in the clinic, try greeted and provided friendly, efficient initial care to 30 to 40 patients per day. Using strong active verbs to start each bullet point is more descriptive and engaging. Similarly, be consistent with little punctuation details, like either ending your bullet points with a period or not. Each job or position should have 2 to 4 bullet points to describe what you did. You'll provide the name of the organization with location, job title, and dates, and then describe that job in a concise manner. The bullet points should reflect ART, action, what did you do in that position? Result, what was the impact or benefit that you provided? And target, how is this relevant to the position to which you're applying? So think about your bullet points. You don't need to have 3 bullet points, 1 for each of these, but your 2 to 4 bullet points should address all 3 of these areas. Throughout the application process, it's important to be yourself, and this includes what you write in your application materials. Show who you really are. Share your likes and interests, your personality, what makes you unique, and so on. Did you study abroad? Do you speak another language? Do you excel at using Excel or an important software system? Don't leave these things out, as they could be what sets you apart and gets you hired or gets you into the program. After all, these are real people reviewing your application, and they'd probably prefer to choose someone who's enjoyable to work with and a good fit for the culture of the organization. A relevant skills section in your resume is a great way to highlight these. First of all, congratulations on your achievements. Awards, achievements, or organizational memberships are optional on a resume, and they're a good idea if they're relevant to the job. These are usually included near the bottom. If your resume is short, you can also include volunteer activities and relevant hobbies, but usually you'd keep these to a minimum for a job opening. In the APU nursing application, the committee wants to see things like these because it tells them more about who you are. Volunteer work is a great way to show your community involvement. These are the people who have your back. Your references should be positive relationships you have in your professional network. Always check in to be sure they're okay with being a reference for you, especially if it's been a while since you were in touch. Prepare anyone who agrees to be a reference for you by letting them know what you're applying for. Send them a copy of your resume so they have a summary of your background, and you can send them direct links when you're applying to jobs. Follow up with them to keep them updated about the status of your search, and certainly if you land the job or get into the program so they can celebrate with you. It's best to list one more person than requested in case the search committee has trouble reaching someone. References should be listed on a separate page, a separate document, with the information shown. Why? Because your resume is about you. This is the part nobody really wants to hear, but you can't send out the same resume twice. What you're creating is a template that should be altered for each future application. Save it as a Word document, and then each time you apply for a different job, save a new copy and tailor it. I like to maintain what I call a master resume, which includes all my work and volunteer history, committees, community activities, and skills, along with lots of bullet points. It's nothing I would ever send to anyone. Every once in a while I go in and update things, so it's ready to be revised anytime. One way to help communicate that you are the perfect person for the job is to carefully read the job description and list out key phrases. Pay attention to every word in the listing, as they're most likely written by the supervisor, and lay out both expectations and what they're hoping for in a candidate. For the nursing program, it's not much different. Reread the description of APU's nursing program and think about how you are a good match. When you're composing your resume, find ways to incorporate those words and phrases you noticed right from the description into your resume. This can be especially useful when a recruiter, or less fun, a document reader, skims it. Some things to change each time you apply to another job in the future are your statement of purpose or objective so it matches the job, your skills so they line up with what's in the job description, accomplishments you describe under each job title. You could change the order of your bullet points or delete some or add some so they better match the job. Any volunteerism or hobbies that complement the organization's mission. Regarding a headshot photo, don't include one on your actual document unless specifically asked for one, which is where this differs from a different application document called a CV. Many organizations want to reduce bias in their selection process, so sharing your photo at this stage may be a piece of unwanted information. If you're using a resume template that has this included, you could replace it with a logo of your initials or simply remove it. Let's move along to the second part of this workshop. A cover letter is a formal business letter that gives the employer a few deeper stories and shares personal convictions that show why you are the most qualified candidate for the position. It's one page, clearly, authentically written, usually with 3 to 4 paragraphs. Every application requires a cover letter that's carefully customized to the job description, and it's likely to need several drafts. While incorporating standard features, use your creativity to make your message memorable. Like resumes, cover letters are living documents that should be changed for every application. Create a basic document that includes most of what you would want to include that's relevant to your industry. When you apply for a job, just like a resume, save a copy and then change the content to align with the job requirements. You can customize it by changing specific abilities or highlighting experience tailored to the listing's requirements and preferred skills. In your cover letter, you'll want to avoid mentioning any lack of experience or unrelated experience. There are plenty of transferable skills you can highlight instead. When it's about a job, focus on the job description and never write or say that you're trying to get a foot in the door of their organization. The committee wants you to apply for this job, not for something else in their organization. When it's about the APU nursing program, definitely describe how this particular program will be the best one for helping you reach your goals. If you want to use an acronym, spell it out the first time you use it to ensure everyone knows what it means. For example, API. In my background, coming from a background in study abroad and education, API is Academic Programs International. For folks in healthcare, it's more likely the Alaska Psychiatric Institute. Be more creative than overused phrases we've all heard before. Instead of saying you've always wanted to be a nurse, describe the path that led you to this opportunity. Don't offer a summary of your resume when you can give them so much more. Offer the hiring committee a chance to envision and sense your skills through your storytelling. Think about the moment you decided to become a nurse, then find a way to tell that story in your letter. As you open your letter, address the employer by name. Do not use "to whom it may concern." Employers are more impressed by applicants who go out of their way to research the hiring manager's name, so applying to this program is a good way to get into the habit of personalizing your cover letter. Here, it's Dr. Marianne Murray and the Nursing Program Committee. Easy. For a job, if it's not already listed, start by calling the HR department to find out the name, as most HR departments are willing to share this. Taking the time to personalize the letter shows that you have initiative, which is usually a positive thing. While your cover letter is a formal business letter, choose words that are in your normal vocabulary rather than trying to impress with unusual words. As much as possible, create a tone that's in alignment with the organization or mirrors the type of language used on the organization's website. It's formal, but it's normal. State clearly the position to which you're applying, and then let this be an opportunity for creative writing rather than an unwelcome chore or duty. Steps that may help captivate your readers: reflect on your very own personal, particular connection to this job or organization and your deepest motivations for applying. Play around with opening sentences that will draw in the reader and make you a memorable applicant. As you write the rest of your letter and discover the stories it will include, you can go back and revise that first sentence. Demonstrate you've done your research by including information about the organization as part of why you're applying right in the first paragraph. As discussed earlier, use your name and contact information at the top of your cover letter in the same font style and size as your resume, the exact same header. This brings consistency to your application documents. As you get into the body of your letter, use explicit examples. Instead of stating, "I am an educator," tell them a story. Here's an example. In addition to my teacher education program, I've had the opportunity to lead groups of teenagers in learning about our community and environment through Youth to Parks. While they grew in their understanding of the complexities that influenced changes in our climate, I gained a deeper understanding of the perspective of today's youth and the impact a caring, listening adult can have on their lives. This letter is your place to expand on some of the key bullet points in your resume. And if you lack some work experience, but you have classroom experiences that match the skills they're looking for, highlight the knowledge and work you gained from your courses. The cover letter is where employers and committees are looking for strong written communication skills. So this is where you'll finally put all your past writing classes to good use. This tiny little image gives you an overview of what should be included in a cover letter. You'll find this located in Handshake as an attachment document. It can also be emailed to you if you contact me at careerservices@alaskapacific.edu. So rather than give you a sample resume and sample cover letter, this document shows you more about what should be included in each section of your letter. You can see the header, which again should look just like the one on your resume. You can see the opening date and kind of the business formatting of opening a letter. Then the sorts of things you should include in the first paragraph, your middle paragraphs, and your final closing paragraph. You'll want to have several others take a look at your resume and cover letter before you send them off. Avoid typing errors. Sometimes you can be too close to a document to see a small mistake, but someone else looking at your application will definitely find it. You can certainly send your first draft to me as you get started. As I mentioned though, my background is all in education, so while I can spot spelling or grammar or punctuation mistakes, someone in healthcare can tell you if your letter makes sense to someone in healthcare. You'll want to use word processing tools so you can tweak your resume, your cover letter, and your references page, but then save them as PDFs before you submit them. This is because they're less likely to carry viruses, making others more likely to open them. PDFs also play nicely with different operating systems. When you save your PDF, be sure things have formatted correctly. Check with the employer to verify if they want the documents separately or as one file. For the APU program, you should have 3 separate documents. Save them with a unique file name, such as your last name, first name, and then underscore resume, underscore cover letter, underscore references. Occasionally, a company will ask for hard copies, and for that, regular printer paper is usually fine, although some people like to use slightly heavier resume paper. Again, keep this simple, white, off-white, and it's always a good idea to bring several clean, neat copies to an interview. As you're putting together these documents, be sure to take a look at other resources that are available. Handshake is a great place to find several things that can be useful. In the Career Center section of Handshake, if you look under resources, you'll find 1 to 2 page summaries of workshops like these. You can go in the events section to find more upcoming workshops, such as workshops about interview skills or some mock interview sessions. You can also find, of course, jobs and internships, so it's a great resource for you. And of course, you're welcome to email me and we can get started working one-on-one to help you get your resume and cover letter and documents in great shape. Keep in mind that APU offers a whole suite of health programs. As you can see from this slide, there are lots of options when it comes to working in healthcare, and APU provides a lot of opportunities to give you the education you'll need to go into several different areas. Thank you so much for your time. I hope to see you soon.